Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Ludic. This is episode 4. I've come here to this coral reef with a handy little island to stand on in the middle, and I've been gathering up some stuff. So I've been getting quite a few coral fans, which is what I've been needing, and I've also managed to get myself a trident, which is awesome. And of course the reason I've got those things is to bring them here to the mob farm to try and sort out our little spider issue that we talked about in the previous episode, and to turn the kill chamber into a trident killer. So what we've got here is the usual setup for a trident killer. This is Silent Whisperer's design, so a dropper in each corner, an observer pointing into the dropper, and a solid block coming out of that observer, and then the pistons just go on top of those solid blocks. One other thing while I'm here, I'm just going to replace the signs. Now that we've got some coral fans, we're going to plonk those in. So this is working pretty nicely. The coral fans do indeed stop the spiders from climbing up. And we've got the lever down here, which pulverizes all the other mobs. We've still got a little slot down here so I can wave at them with my sword. That helps with a couple of things. It helps to get the spiders if they don't fall down into the grinder. But the other thing it does is it means, because I've got fire aspect on this sword, I can hit the witches with it, and that gives us a chance of them dropping a fire resistance potion. And sometimes we want a few of those. We've got some in here in our witch drops box. So we've got a couple of fire resistance, and the rest are mainly instant health potions. So back at the top of the farm, I don't know how well you'll be able to see through here on YouTube, but I can see 1, 2, 3, I think 4 spiders that are all swimming against the tide of the water. We need to sort them out so that they can't make their way back up. And our solution to that is to make sure there's coral fans along here instead of the signs, and that will stop them climbing up. But that would work for this bit. If I go along a little bit further, and again I don't know how well you can see it at this point. Whoa, let's not let that creeper get us. At this point, obviously the water is going to be too high for the coral fans to go in, and that basically means we need to take that water chute down by a few blocks. So I guess we're doing that, and with all the mobs spawning in the farm, that's going to be quite, well, exciting. Okay, so I've mined just a couple of blocks down, well, 3 blocks down, so this block here is essentially the floor of where the mobs are standing on, all along here, and basically along this side we've just made exactly the same thing but a few blocks lower down. We just need to put our water sources in there now. And that should go all the way to the end, looks like it does. So now I'm just going to build up this wall again, and then we can break this floor, and the mobs will then be going along here instead, and then we can hopefully get our coral fans in on top. Okay, that will stop them climbing up that side. What it won't do, of course, is stop them climbing up here, but they've only got a few blocks to go up here, and then it'd fall back down again, so it's not the end of the world. Let's put one on the end there, that would help. But now let's just close all this up. Well, there's now no spiders swimming against the tide down here, but after a little bit of AFKing, we're back to our 5 spiders I think I can see in there, all swimming against the tide, so clearly we've got a little bit more work to do here. And I think what that means is we need to put coral fans along this side of the wall as well. And that's going to be pretty tricky. Need to think about how we're going to do that. So we'll leave it for now, and we'll come back to that maybe in a future episode. My next job brings me here to the nether though, because you might remember last time we said we needed to make this place a little bit more spawn proof. So let's try and do that, shall we? well, this place might not look great, but it's now 100% safer than it used to be. And that's good news for a plod like me. Here at Spawn Town, I've just been repairing my tools, using our fancy trident killer, of course. But there's something else I want to start using, and that is this pair of elytra right here. Yes, my first pair. We bought these, quite a few weeks ago, I think now. Just shortly after the other guys have been to the end and the nether. But I have never worn them yet. I haven't used them. And so far, they're unenchanted. So I guess we should go and do that first. Oh no, Teddy's sold out of Unbreaking. Let's see if we can do anything about that. Back at my starter house here at Spawn Town, I've made myself some books. Let's see what we can get. No, just Silk Touch. Let's clear some inventory space and see what we can get with the other 6.
A few moments later.
Okay, Ronaldo's books are really what I was after. But that's not a problem, because down here at the mob farm I've got a grindstone, so I can just unenchant them. Just need to make sure I don't do that to the mending book, because we kind of want that. And we can kill some mobs to get our levels back up to 30, and then we'll go and try again. Okay, let's try again.
More moments later.
Okay, well at least I've got some books to decorate these bookshelves with now. Well, perhaps I'll put our elytra away and we'll wait for another time. We'll keep the mending book with it. That's okay. I've got an alternative mode of transport. And that's these guys. So here we are at my industrial district, which is where you left me at the end of the last episode, if you remember rightly. Yeah, we have continued to flatten it all out. We have got all the sides on, as you can see, so easy to get up and down. And we have marked out the chunks, so we're pretty much ready to start building some farms. Which is just as well, really, because I've been busy designing some. I'm going to need a lot of terracotta and bricks for my builds, so I decided to make a clay farm. Although I've designed it myself entirely from scratch, the principles are the same as pretty much any other clay farm you'll see, so you might be familiar with some of how this works, but let me show you around anyway. So, starting over here with this dispenser, as you can see, it's pointing straight into a water source, and what that will have in it are empty water bottles. So if we pop one in, what we'll see is that it dispenses it, turns it into a full water bottle, then dispenses it again where it falls into that hopper. So every time there is an empty water bottle in there, it gets dispensed to turn it into, to fill it up with water, and then dispensed again and chucks it down into that hopper. So this circuit behind is the thing that just checks if there's anything in that dispenser, then power that block and that will just loop round on a circuit. That's why we've got the this circuit going in here back into the comparator, and that will just cause a little loop until this thing is empty. So as long as we put some stuff in there, you'll see it just keeps going and then it stops. So those full water bottles then go along this little line of hoppers and they go into another dispenser over here. So if we just pop over to the other side of that dispenser, you can see there's a comparator coming out of it that is powering this block, which powers this redstone torch that lets us know there's something in that dispenser. But it also where is it? I need to find a circuit. When that block is powered, it will power this bit of redstone, which powers this repeater over here. And if I find my way over to the other side of that, that powers this little circuit that goes along essentially that target block over there. If I can say the word target, it's not a hard word to say. And that target block powers this hopper, so it locks it, and that makes sure that there's only ever one water bottle in that dispenser at a time. So if I take that one out, you can see another one goes in, but all these other water bottles in this hopper line they don't go into that dispenser unless it's completely empty, so it only has one in at a time. In front of the dispenser we've got a redstone torch, which essentially forms part of a smart piston. So what that will do is we're going to place a block of dirt there, and it is going to, because that redstone torch is there, it will then power the block of dirt we're going to put in, and that will power this bit of redstone here. That powers this repeater and goes around to this circuit, which does two things. So the signal comes around here in front of this observer, and when the signal goes on, the observer will power, and when the signal goes off, it will power again. So essentially that then powers this dispenser twice. So every time we put a block there, it will make the dispenser power twice. So one time it will turn our dirt block into mud, and the second time it will just chuck out the empty water bottle. The other bit of this circuit around here is obviously this middle bit going into this piston, and you can see that's on a delay of a couple of ticks. So that will just make sure that after we've turned this thing into mud, the mud is then moved along into our square maker. So if I just show you how that works, there you go, all happens very quickly. So you saw it turns into mud, the empty water bottle is spewed out by the dispenser, and the mud is moved along. So just show you again. Pretty simple, right? So you saw that our water bottles, once they're dispensed from the dispenser, they just disappear. As you can see, it's just vanished. And the reason for that is we've got a bunch of hoppers underneath these mud blocks. So mud blocks are not completely solid blocks, so hoppers will pick things up through them. So this hopper line takes those empty water bottles from that dispenser all the way back up to this dropper tower, which is powered by these observers here. So if there's anything in that one, they'll pop out a redstone signal here, which these observers will pick up and power these droppers in turn to make things go all the way up into our line of hoppers up here, and that goes back to the start where we started off with this dispenser. There's one other little circuit here, and that is just to read off of this hopper. So basically when things are backing up, we've got too many bottles in the system, that will power this, and that will just power this block here. Oops, that one there. It will power that, which will lock that dispenser and stop this clock from making it spew out any more bottles. So essentially when things are backing up to the point that there's something in that hopper, then so if I pop something in there, you'll see it's obviously going to go through. But let's just chuck a whole load of water bottles in there. You'll see eventually, there you go, that locks it, and that stops the dispenser dispensing anymore. So the last bit is of course what happens to the mud after it's pushed by this piston. So it comes along here and finds its way in front of this row of pistons here. Then we've just got a little smart piston at the end, so same principle as before, a redstone torch underneath which will power the block when it arrives, and that goes along and powers this row of pistons along here. So we can demo that, can't we? Like that, and that pushes all of that mud, and it would be mud, along on top of this this row of blocks underneath. But underneath those, you can see we've got a bunch of dripstone, and of course that turns the mud, if you leave it long enough, into clay. And we've got one final redstone torch right at this end. So basically when we get to the end of things, as far as the pistons can push, then we will light up this redstone line over here, and that just lights up this redstone lamp, so that when we're standing here and merrily chucking our dirt into here over and over again, we can see from these two redstone lamps whether there's a water bottle for us to use, because if there isn't, then that will just push the dirt instead of turning it into mud. And if this one comes on, then we know this cube maker, or this square maker is more accurately the name for it, I suppose. We know that would be full up, and it's time to stop placing our dirt and go and grab some clay. So considering I designed it myself entirely from scratch, I'm pretty pleased with that. And of course the next thing we've got to do is pop over to the Ludic server and build it for real in survival. Just before I do that though, there's a couple of things that I haven't told you about the farm that I just want to finish off. So let's just do that. So one thing I'm quite pleased with is that I've avoided having to put any kind of sorter system on the dispensers to work out what's a filled up water bottle and what's an empty glass bottle. Instead, we've just made sure we're doing that dispensing twice thing. So with this one, obviously it's only the full bottles that would ever be dispensed, because if you try and dispense an empty bottle, then it will just fill it with water and go back into the dispenser. So that's nice and easy. And with this, we've just got that dispensing twice mechanism. So we always know we're going to be chucking out a full water bottle, and then so using a full water bottle to turn the dirt into clay, and then chucking out the empty one. Oh, that's an example of the other thing I want to talk about in a minute. And with this little locking mechanism, we know it's only ever going to be a full water bottle that goes into that. So we don't need any kind of sorter system to figure that out. The mechanics of the farm do it for us. But yes, the one problem with it is, as you can see, every so often when it chucks out the empty water bottle, it will land on top of that repeater there, and therefore won't get sucked down into the hoppers. So just need to keep a little eye on that, because yeah, we can lose a few water bottles that way, and I haven't figured out a way of preventing that from happening, but never mind, it still works, it does the trick, it's okay. So here we are on Ludic, and I have built it all up, and aside from a couple of mishaps where I kept breaking these blocks and letting the water out and washing all the redstone away, which was not ideal, it's all working really well. So let me just show you. There you go, you can see placing the block, turns to clay, off it goes, does the thing. In fact, I've got too many water bottles in there. We had a bit of an issue just now. Exactly, from that redstone mishap. There we are. I could tell that because some of these water bottles that were coming out were, well, they were water bottles and not empty. But now, yeah, they should all be empty every time. Only ever getting one in there. That works. But this isn't the only thing I've been building over here in our industrial area. So if I turn around and see how fast I can run backwards, which is not very fast at all, we find ourselves at this lovely thing over here. So this is a little item categorizer with just 6 slices. It's a Silent Whisperer design, so I'm not going to show you around it too much. I'll let you go and watch his video where he can describe all of that to you. But it's nice and simple, really. Essentially, you've got a bunch of chests along here with items in, little things we want. Essentially, they define the categories, so we've got all our stone in that one. And this hopper minecart under here will take stuff from the input chest, match it against whichever of those chests has the item in, and it then pops up all the way to the top of the farm there. Goes through a bunch of sorters and will dump things in the correct column. And if we have an item that isn't in any of those chests, then it'll pop up here to this output chest. And as you can see, we've got a few things that we still need to sort out. I've also been making some plans of the other things we want to build around here. So we're going to get a potion brewing thingy here, and I've got all the materials for it ready to build that up, so I'll be doing that very soon. Over here we're going to have a bamboo and sugar farm, and that will be powered by a flying machine because they're very cool. We've got a couple of manual tree farms going on over here, but we will be making an automatic tree farm in due course. We've got the beginnings of a crop farm over here. We might turn that into a villager powered one if I allow myself to use villagers this season, otherwise we'll just keep farming this manually. And again, if I allow myself to make villager farms, then this one is going to be an iron farm just about here. To do any of that we'd need a villager breeder, so this is where that would go. And just over there, where those bees are flying around, we'll probably make ourselves a bit of a honey farm. I've also got plans for a nether fungus farm, a nether tree farm, and a nether wart farm, which I will need to power the potion brewer thing over there. But I haven't decided quite where those are going yet. And one of the most important things will be over here, because this is where I want to build a smelter. At the moment I've just got a small stack of, in fact you can't even see them, they're the other side of the nether portal over there, but I've just got a stack of 4 furnaces going on, so I'd like to turn that into a proper smelting machine thing. which will go over here. Most of these are going to be other people's farms, so the Potion Brewer is a mumbo jumbo design. The Flying Machine Powered Sugar and Bamboo farm is based on the design by Silent Whisperer, but I'll probably design my own furnace array this time round. So apart from that furnace array, most of what I'm going to build off camera, because as I say, it's other people's things, and I just need to gather a whole load of materials and get these things built. So you should see a lot of that built up in the next episode, but before I go, there's something else I want to show you, because while we were building up our clay farm over there, Teddy has restocked his Unbreaking books, and that means I have Unbreaking and Mending on my Elytra, and we can fly. So with that, I'll see you next time. Bye!